Today's episode is brought to you by Geico. Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work. But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing too, because you already have so much to do around the house. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. And we thank them for sponsoring today's podcast.
Get your Something to Wrestle gear at brucepritchard.com and check out boxofgimmicks.com, the official Something to Wrestle store, where you can find gimmicks for yourself or the fan in your life. New items added weekly.
I'm back to remind you this week of all the exclusive content you can find right now at adfreeshows.com. Not only are all your favorite wrestling podcasts early and ad-free, but there's so much bonus content in the archives that you could literally spend weeks, hell months, catching up on all the content that you can't find anywhere else. Listen up. Adfreeshows.com also has all the past exclusive StarCast interviews available to you, including AEW's own CM Punk and his memorable interview with PW insider Mike Johnson from his hometown in Chicago in 2019.
I'm sure you don't miss the politics or fighting or trying to get your way or making others understand your vision. But do you miss the performance of it? Do you miss getting in the ring? Do you miss calling spots? Do you miss performing and having people react the way that they did when you walked out on stage today? That aspect of it, is there any part of you that still misses it, or have you moved on?
Sign up now, and you can hear Punk's response to this and so many other great questions as we all enjoy this amazing roller coaster ride in wrestling. There's never been a better complimentary piece to your wrestling fandom than becoming a member at adfreeshows.com right now.
Hey, before we get going, first of all, I want to thank you guys for listening to the show. We greatly appreciate all of your support. It means a lot to both me and my co-host here. We're working hard to entertain you every single week. But behind the scenes, I'm working hard on something else I want to share with you. Check out this 5-star review from my man John K. up in Raleigh, North Kakalaki. He wrote, "I've been a fan of Conrad's podcast for several years. Given how home values have skyrocketed in our area in the last 12 months, I wanted to see if a refi that could consolidate our credit card debt was worth exploring. Diane, Brandy, and Bill were an absolute pleasure to work with. This was by far the smoothest mortgage process and fastest closing out of the 4 I've been through. Thanks to First Family, we were able to refinance to a lower rate and pay off all of our credit card debt. This will save us north of $800 a month. I cannot stress how huge that is for my wife and our 2 kids. This is the fresh start we've needed. I can't thank the team enough and will recommend First Family to all of my family and friends. Thanks." No, thank you, John. I greatly appreciate your support, and thank you for leaving me that review over at conradreviews.com. Don't take my word for it, guys. We make saving money fast and easy. See for yourself what people are saying at conradreviews.com. But then give us a call. Find out how much money you can save for free at 888-425-0105. Yes, that's a toll-free call. Or maybe if you think you have a unique situation, just shoot me an email, conrad@savewithconrad.com. Or better yet, get a quick quote right now. Find out how much money you can save for free. John saved more than $800 a month. What's your number? How much can you save? Find out at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Oh, and did I mention we're licensed in more than 40 states? And with rates as low as they are right now, it's not a matter of if we can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Your home is probably worth more than ever before. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to use that equity to change your life. Get out of debt faster with cheaper monthly payments and keep more of your own money at savewithconrad.com. That's savewithconrad.com.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle With. Bruce Pritchard. Well, you know.
That's not a rib. She pooted.
Is that a rib?
No, yeah, but there's no box of gimmicks.
Rumor and innuendo.
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo. And was he there? I was there.
Say something about
I don't give a shit. I ain't scared of shit.
I ain't scared of shit.
Fuck him.
You, Bruce.
I love you. Take the cheese. Double cheeseburger. You take the bread. Double cheese. Well, you know. And then double mayo. You know, it's called chicken salad. Double onion, mother. Oh, you're nothing but an egg sucker. fucking dog.
Throw it in your Google machine.
God damn, kid. God damn it. What the hell show you got there? I need more. Ooh, yeah.
What say you?
Pronouns, pal.
And now, something to wrestle with. Con Bruce Pritchard.
The second most recognizable athlete in the entire world today.
Conrad Thompson.
What happened when? What would Vince say about that?
Well, hey Vince, tell me, my sure arms look good tonight. Yeah, they're so big. Yeah, let's go.
Bullshit.
Welcome to WrestleMania.
World title on that.
Welcome to something to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with. Bruce Pritchard. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
Not much of anything, man. Just, another day in paradise. And what can I say?
Are you in the rumor and innuendo now more than ever before, do you think?
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo.
Well, that's what we're here to do today. Debunk.
We're going to talk some innuendo and rumor.
Now we're going to talk some Bam Bigelow. I'm pumped about this one, man. A little old school.
Bam. I love, you watch Flintstones, right?
Of course.
Yeah. I thought, man, first of all, Betty was hot.
Okay.
And Barney Rubble was probably one of the most underrated actors of all time.
Is there a personality in wrestling you would compare to Barney Rubble? Who was wrestling's Barney Rubble?
Well, fuck, there ain't nobody compared to Barney Rubble. He's a good actor. He should have got one of those Academy Awards.
Okay.
From the Academy. Do. Oh, you're the guy. I'm sorry, man. I know I told the story, but it's like every time I see him now, I just go, oh, dude. And it goes back to the Eddie Murphy Eddie Murphy talked about when people would see him on the street and go, oh, Eddie Murphy, fuck you, man. Fuck you. And now Michael flatters himself by comparing himself to Eddie Murphy and go, oh, dude. I know you, dude. I don't know why Silva's the only one that does that to him, but
Are you all right? You're shot out of a cannon today.
What?
I'm no, never mind. I'll tell you off air. Hey, so
what's that song? I'ma get with the Black Eyed Peas or somebody. I used to listen to your house. It's not the Black Eyed Peas. I know that, but who the fuck was it?
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay. Yes, you do. You sang it to me. I'ma something like that.
I just like that you're in a good mood. You don't look sleepy or tired or stressed.
What the fuck would I have to be sleepy, tired, or stressed about?
I agree. I'm glad. Let's record the date and time. I'm not angry.
You just said you was angry. Why are you angry, B?
Oh, I'm not.
Connie, talk at me. I can tell when you're angry. I can tell. I'm looking in your beady little eyes right now. You're angry.
I am pumped up that we're talking about Scott Bigelow, born in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. As you're listening to this, 2 days ago would have been his 60th birthday. Another guy gone way, way too soon. He was a high school wrestler who had some success, but ultimately didn't graduate and did some various careers, shall we say. Things like being a bodyguard, being a bouncer, being a bounty hunter. I guess all the B's actually. Anyway, Bam Bigelow is legendary for a lot of things, but there's a story I found in my research I did not know. Allegedly, while he was working as a bounty hunter, he was shot in the back and he spent like 6 months in a Mexican prison. Did you ever talk to him about that?
I spent a little bit of time with Bam Bam. I don't know that a lot of his alleged background is necessarily 100% actual factual.
Oh,
actual factual.
So it may have been a fishtail.
Might have been.
Because he would have been an awfully young individual to have spent 6 months in prison and been shot in the back. But either way, eventually, thankfully for all of us, he winds up at Larry Sharp's Monster Factory in New Jersey.
I'm a bee. That's the song. I just looked it up. It's I'm a bee. That's I'm a bee. I'm a bee. Black Eyed Peas? Wasn't Black Eyed Peas?
I never played this
I'm
song
good.
for you.
Look at me, Mr. Current. Okay, I'm sorry. Larry Sharp. Jersey. Wildwood. Asbury Park.
Yeah, what can you tell us about the Monster Factory?
You know, the Monster Factory back in the day was probably the only, at least to my knowledge, was really the only commercial school that got any kind of publicity, that was actually out there. I don't want to say advertising, but looking for students and actively advertising, if you will, and just getting the buzz out there for people. And it was kind of the go-to if you wanted to be a wrestler, because there weren't a lot of wrestling schools that were publicly known. And the Monster Factory was something that was, you know, it got featured on different shows where, hey, you know, you want to be a wrestler? Well, there's a place you can go. It's the Monster Factory in wherever the fuck, New Jersey. And they do personality. Larry Sharp was a character. And man, Larry pumped him out. Larry had a reputation for finding big guys and unique characters, if you will, that would come through there. And so Larry was kind of a go-to guy if you were looking for an extra in a movie and things like that, of a big nasty wrestler and shit like that. So you'd go to Larry Sharp and say, hey, you got anybody that's training with you or that you've seen?
That's what I wanted to ask. How often would you do that? Is that something you would reach out for, or who would?
No, I'm saying in general, like the movie and television types that were looking for extras and things like that. That, you know, Larry kind of had that reputation because he had a school that people knew about. It was like, hey, well, maybe we can find a wrestler. And I hear there's a guy in New Jersey that's got a wrestling school that notoriously pumps out big guys.
Well, chat me up about, from the WWF's perspective, when you were there, and I realized that he's actually going to pop up before you do, but, so you weren't involved in that, but did you guys
Wasn't involved in what?
Recruiting Bam Bam Bigelow to the WWF?
He wasn't there before I was. He came after I came.
Really?
Yeah. Right after.
Well,
I wasn't involved in recruiting him, but he came after.
I thought he showed up maybe, I mean, I'm not arguing with you, but I thought he showed up like a month ahead of you. When did you first officially start?
April. 87.
Okay. Well, he was May. Yeah. I thought you were June for some reason.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
So chat me up. In that era, this is pre NXT, it's pre OVW, it's pre Florida Championship Wrestling, it's pre Ohio Valley. Was there some sort of methodology? I mean, how would you guys discover talent from, you know, fresh out of wrestling school, somebody who wasn't necessarily on the territories yet?
Well, we didn't. And Bam Bam had actually worked Texas. He had worked Dallas for Fritz in the world class territory. And there was a point in time that Bam Bam was allegedly going to be coming in for Bill Watts in UWF Mid-South. So I don't know how serious those talks were. I know that he was on the radar, at least for Watts, because he had been working in Dallas. And he wore the all black gear and shit like that. And the only thing colorful about him was his head and the flames tattooed on his head.
You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks, and a few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end, when people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you'll get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, you kill someone. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead to get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. We'll get there. I want to mention when later Bam Bam was interviewed about why he got into professional wrestling. He says, quote, "There wasn't much else I was qualified for." As you mentioned, he was from Larry Sharp's Monster Factory, considered the prize student at the time, and he actually has his very first debut wrestling match at Studio 54, August 23rd, 1985. And this show is probably most famous because this is really the first promotional effort of Paul Heyman, who once upon a time was trying to make his way in that business, and I think provided photography services and things like that. But he's going to throw his hat into the ring as a promoter, and he books Ric Flair for an appearance and the debut match of Bam Bam Bigelow. Have you ever heard anything about that show or that event or how it came to be? Did you ever talk to Paul or Bam Bam about that?
Yeah, I talked to Paul about it. It was, his kind of first foray into doing something, and it was more with the nightclub scene in New York. And Paul, was looking to bring in some guys, and I think Flair was the big attraction at that time.
Yeah.
To be able to bring Rick in for this event, but Rick wasn't working or anything like that. So, it was just a stunt more than anything, for the nightclubs to be able to put on an event. Hey, come see wrestling. We're going to have live professional wrestling at Studio 54, which was a pretty cool concept at the time, that hadn't been done. And it was a different way to get exposure, and pretty smart on Paul Lee's part.
Larry Sharp's Monster Factory would go on to produce quite a bit of talent. Guys like Big Show, and even someone more recently, Matt Riddle, I think, went through the Monster Factory. Of course, these days ran by Mr. Cage as opposed to Larry Sharp, but the legacy of the Monster Factory lives on, Bruce.
Yeah, it does. And I don't mean to kind of poo-poo on the Monster Factory and Larry Sharp. But it did not always have the best reputation in the world. It was looked at in a lot of ways as, I don't want to say a scam either, but a scheme, if you will, that Larry took people's money that had no real
aptitude for wrestling.
Yeah. And had that reputation. And then after that, Larry would tie himself to people like Bam Bam to take percentage of whatever they got and things like that after training them. And it wasn't always it just wasn't always the best of reputations. If you came out of the Monster Factory, in those days, people kind of looked at you sideways, because I don't know that Larry had the best reputation in the business. And I can only speak for myself dealing with Larry Sharp through the years, in that Larry was always straight up with me, couldn't have been a nicer guy, and at least never gave me any reason to think that I never thought of him as a bad guy. I thought, wow, you hear the rumors and you hear the innuendo and all that good shit. So you're a little trepidatious in dealing with him. But I found in my dealings with him, at least one-on-one, which there weren't a lot, but Larry was always, pretty straight up and a straightforward guy. So I never understood where that came from, other than maybe some of the old timers I hung around with didn't have a high opinion of him. And the whole tying himself to guys that made it big and trying to take points out of whatever they got. So,
on the heels of that, I feel like it's worth mentioning that I think Danny Cage has owned it for like 10 years now. Not Larry Sharp. Do you know Danny? Have you met him before?
I've met him one time. Nice guy. I met him at a seminar in San Antonio with my brother. And nice guy, but other than, hey, how you doing? And having dinner with him one night, I don't really know Danny.
I guess what I'm trying to say is he doesn't have this negative reputation that precedes him that perhaps maybe Larry Sharp did once upon a time.
No, and I think that the negative was probably based more in guys that had worked with Larry over the years and maybe just didn't like him because it was the only actual people. Well, Bill Watts. I don't think Bill Watts had a high opinion of Larry, but
Bill Watts didn't like anybody besides Jim Ross.
Good point.
Yeah.
So you got to look at the people that he liked and then you judge them that way. And well, there you go. But also, like Strongbow and people like that up in the Northeast didn't really have good things to say about Larry. Vince was always real nice to Larry and never had a problem with Larry, being around and things like that. So again, I can say from my experience with Larry, I never had a bad experience with Larry, but it was whatever you would say. Yeah, he's one of Larry Sharp's guys. People would go, oh boy.
Just one more time. That's not what they're saying these days. Don't want to bury a guy's current business. So roll tide, Danny Cage.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was more Larry, not necessarily the other thing. And I have no idea other than, I can speak to Matt Riddle and those guys. I worked with Matt in MLW and, great guy, obviously. But my point is that whoever trained Matt, I think did a pretty damn good job.
Let's jump into it. People are really taking notice of Bam Bam, mostly because of his size, and then you stick around for the tattoos. But he's 6'4", 390 pounds, but probably most notable for how agile he was. I mean, he could do some, at the time, relatively high risk maneuvers. When was the first time you saw Bam Bam break out some of that fantastic stuff that you wouldn't expect a man his size to be able to perform?
I would say probably, in World Class in Dallas was the first time that I took notice, but I'd seen Bam Bam in one of those, whether it was Access Hollywood, or it wasn't Access Hollywood, but it was one of those type of shows that did a feature on the Monster Factory, and saw Bam Bam because he was a unique cat. So people were looking at him because of the way that he looked and his size. Bam Bam didn't work like a 350 pounder. Bam Bam worked like a 200 pounder and could do some really amazing things and had tremendous agility for a big man. Maybe too smooth.
I wanted to ask, how do you differentiate? We've heard the advice of quote unquote veterans a lot in wrestling who would say, oh, he's doing all this stupid shit. He just needs to be a big man. Just be a giant, wrestle like a giant, be a giant. But then you see a guy like this break out all kinds of crazy stuff and fans seem to really dig it. What's up with that? Where's the line where this guy should, but that guy shouldn't?
I think it depends on ability as to whether or not they can do it. When you see a big guy do it all the time, it becomes commonplace.
It doesn't matter. It's not special.
Right. If they break it out every now and then, it makes it unique and it makes you go, whoa. If you do an amazing maneuver over and over and over again, you get used to it and it becomes a spot instead of a spectacle.
Well, it is a spectacle to see Bam Bam Bigelow. He's going to make his way down to Memphis in the CWA. He's going to be pushed pretty high up the card and even work a program with Jerry Lawler. And that's actually the first time, or the first thing of his I've seen, is like a highlight tape they made down there that they played on TV. That was really pretty cool, especially for the time. Did you see any of his Memphis stuff at all?
I probably saw a little bit of it, but not enough to really matter, I guess. More than anything, I probably saw a little bit of it. Again, the first time I really saw much of his stuff was out of Dallas.
Do you know the whole story on how he got the flames on his head? Because that's obviously the thing that people still remember the most. But you and I have never talked about how or when that came about, and I assume it probably would have come up at some point.
I wasn't there. I don't know. I wasn't even there.
So you never asked him?
I don't know. I never asked him. Never ever asked him. Do you know?
No, I don't know. I was asking you. I didn't know if he got it when he was in that Mexican prison.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, man, come here, Vato. Hey, yo, Vato, come here, man. I want to do something to your head.
Hold still, Holmes.
No, man, come on, man. You're just going to feel like a little prick. Well, man, don't come here, little prick. Come here. And he woke up with flames on his head.
Probably something just like that. Then he goes to World Class Championship Wrestling. He's going to portray a Russian here. And why is he a Russian here in 86? Because everyone's a Russian in 1986.
Well, if you're big and you're bald and menacing, well, by God, you're a goddamn Russian.
Do you remember his Russian name?
Oh, shit. What the fuck? Was it Crusher Yurkov?
Yes.
Old C. Yurkov?
Dude, Crusher Yurkov, can we just be honest? That's a rib name, is it not?
I didn't do it.
I'm not saying you did it, but I am saying, hypothetically.
Hey, Yurkov, come here.
Doesn't it?
Hey, y'all met Yurkov? I mean, come on.
Dude, it sounds like, right? It's like if it was Billy Whack Me Off was, come on.
You know Billy?
You see? He's a hell of a hand.
Next week on Something to Wrestle With, Billy Yak Me Off.
So listen, we're going to talk about something that is really dated here, but Bam Bam even wins Rookie of the Year.
How many years?
Just the one. As far as I know,
my brother Tom won Rookie of the Year, I think 3 times, 3 years in a row.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
There was a guy who used to wrestle at NWA Wildside with Bill Barron's named Sal Renaro, and he's still with NWA. Anyway, I saw him years ago as the 2-time Rookie of the Year, thought it was the fucking coolest gimmick ever. And here your brother had it. Was he promoting himself as a 3-time Rookie of the Year?
No, it's just every territory he went to was like this young rookie, Tommy Pritchard. You know, he's Cowboy Tommy Pritchard out in California, because anybody who comes from Texas got to be a cowboy. And when he got there, they said, "Hey, you got a hat, some chaps?" Thinking that just everybody who came from Texas always carried a hat and chaps in their bag. Well, hang on, let me get one. You want yellow or blue? What the fuck? But yeah, Tom, everywhere he'd go, was young, and so they'd make him, this young rookie. They'd have their own local Rookie of the Year. Do you know who beat him out, Rookie of the Year in PWI in his actual real rookie year?
Who? Okay.
I think Terry Taylor was the Rookie of the Year, and Tom was runner-up.
You ever bust Tom's balls about that?
No, because he was a 3-time Rookie of the Year. Cockadoodle guy was only once.
Okay. He gets noticed enough to get booked over in New Japan Pro Wrestling in January of 87. So just to recap, the guy is like 16 months in the business and already booked by New Japan. That's a pretty big damn deal. Is it because they had so much success with the other American wrestlers because of his size? What say you?
I think Inoki had a fetish for the big guys to bring in a big, nasty looking heel for Inoki to beat. So yeah, I think Inoki liked that style, that type of talent.
Well, he's only there for like 4 or 5 months before he debuts with the World Wrestling Federation, May 26, 1987 in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And, he's going to debut in his home state and in the town that he's announced from his whole career. Pretty cool little deal. Do you remember his first match or him coming in or how that all came to be?
Yeah, I remember he came in and was very bland. Wore like black short shorts and then the top that he wore pretty much for his career. It was almost like a butcher top, but it covered a little bit more of his body. And for being as big as he was and, from the neck up, as colorful as he was, it didn't match. It was very bland and kind of blah. And it was blah enough to almost take away his uniqueness. Because then he just became a heavy dude that happened to be bald with a tattoo on his head.
Right.
there was nothing special about him that made him stand out. And so then, we looked at, okay, what can we do to color him up and to make him stand out in a land of giants. He was a big guy, but he was a big guy that had some extraordinary talents and could do an awful lot for a big man.
Ding dong, hello. Yes, we're talking about your ding dong today. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Say it with me. Blue Chew. Man, they've been sponsoring us for so long. It feels like they've been a part of something to wrestle as long as Bruce has. But now it's summer. It's camping season. Let's talk about pitching tents. You know what we're doing, guys. Listen, here's the thing. I want to give you a little pro tip. Confidence can take you far in life. It works in a wrestling ring. It works in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. That's where Blue Chew gives you the hot tag. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as both Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Now you can take these dudes anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or just be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And the process, it's so simple. You just sign up at BlueChew.com, you consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Now here's the best part. It's all done online. So no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. With Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman, and actually your wives will be too, because when your package has arrived, it means your package has arrived. And here's the thing. They always say first impressions are important, but what about a lasting impression? So if you're in a dating routine and you're getting ready to go one-on-one with the great one for the first time, why not leave a lasting impression? Women say there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you confidence where it counts. So if you could benefit from the extra confidence when it's time to perform, man, tag in our boys at Blue Chew. They can help. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code WRESTLE at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. The promo code is WRESTLE to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. But seriously, have you not checked this out? If you've been listening to this for a long time, because I can't believe it, but I think this is like our 5-year anniversary, you do not want to miss this. BlueChew.com, promo code WRESTLE. Try it for free. You're just out $5 shipping. Why not? See what all the fuss is about. You're going to love it. BlueChew.com. The promo code is WRESTLE. Who else would have been working with talent? I mean, I know you're fresh, so you're I think you've laid out on the show in the past, you were really doing a little bit of everything. You weren't necessarily doing only this or only that. So you're all over the place. Anyway, who would have been working with talent? Would it have just been agents at the shows? And who do you think that cast and crew may have looked like in 1987? Yeah,
it was the agents, Chief Jay Strongbows, Tony Gurrias, Pat Patterson, Monsoon, guys like that would work with talent on a weekly basis and or at the house shows. So the agents that were in the house shows were able to work with them every night and Pat at TV. But it was more at that time that we would put guys on the house shows to go out and see how the audience is reacting to them before you'd ever get on television. And then get a feel for what they do, what they are, and ideas as to what to do with them from there. They'd make every TV and work from there.
Talk me through what sort of transition you think a wrestler would need to make in order to be ready for the prime time in the WWF, really at the height of the golden era. Here in the shadow of WrestleMania 3, there's more people watching WWF programming than ever before. Your network, your syndicated network, continues to grow by leaps and bounds. You've got primetime specials. You've got late night specials. You've got a lot of really great stuff on the horizon, not just on cable, but on broadcast television. And now you're taking these talent, and this one in particular, he's 2 years in the business, less than that. And now he's going to be a part of this roster. And sure, he may have some of the quote unquote moves down and he might understand basic match structure. He learned all that in wrestling school and through doing matches across the country and even in Japan. But now he's got to really turn the volume up and be a personality that's larger than life. And he's a relatively young man here. What did that process look like? Because it feels a little overwhelming when you put it in context like that.
I think it probably was overwhelming for Bam Bam. He had been used to kind of being out on his own, and really his only mentor being Larry Sharp, who I think that Larry probably fed into his head. Don't trust anybody. Just more than anything, an attitude of distrust. I think with all promoters and anybody in the business that wasn't Larry. So I think Bam Bam kind of had that in his head without any validation to it. I don't know that anybody I don't think Scott had been in the business that long to have that kind of a feeling or to feel that way, exclusive to his own endeavors. So, Bam Bam coming in, it was a pretty raw lump of clay that you could mold with some decent foundation and some pretty good skills.
We've heard over the years that, the WWF is the land of the giants, and that Vince has an affinity for larger than life characters. And we've even heard an explanation, what do they look like in an airport? Do they turn heads in an airport? Is everyone, wrestling fan or not, paying attention to that person? And that could be based on size or star value or natural charisma, whatever. They have some sort of magnetism about that. Did Vince see that in Bam Bam? And would he have seen it without the head tat?
I don't know if he would have seen it without the head tattoo, and I don't know that Bam Bam would have had the same swagger without the head tattoo.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think that it all kind of came together in a neat package, and the tattoo probably gave Bam Bam some of that swagger and some of that strut that he had naturally.
It is interesting to go back and think about what if. I mean, in this era, we should also mention, you've told us before that you guys were really looking for, it's a babyface territory. So there's a lot of other territories in the country that they wanted to have a heel champion and all the baby faces chase. Vince and even his father preferred a babyface champion taking on all comers, a guy like Bruno Sammartino, and now it's Hulk Hogan's turn. When you see a guy like Bam Bam Bigelow at his height, his weight, and his agility, but then, as if that isn't enough, the crazy head tat, do you just think, oh man, we sharpen that guy up and he'll be perfect for Hogan on a Saturday night's main event or whatever? You're looking primarily for not necessarily your next Hogan, but who can Hogan's next opponent be? Is that fair to say?
It is, but in Bam Bam in particular, we were looking at, holy shit, what an attraction he can be.
So did you think he could have been a babyface? Oh, well, you didn't see him. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Didn't see him as a heel. Saw him as a huge babyface.
Wow. Okay. A storyline begins on July 20th on Primetime Wrestling, where Bobby Heenan is doing commentary, and he claims to have signed Bam Bam. And then Jimmy Hart, in an insert during a Honky Tonk Man match, claims to have signed Bam Bam. And then Mr. Fuji, during a demolition match the next week, we would see he signed Bam Bam. And then Johnny V does the same routine during an Islanders match. And in fact, Slick does one.
They must have been reading the dirt sheets.
It's a nice storyline, Bruce, if you could just behave for a little bit.
Why?
It's a nice way to say, hey, all the heels want to manage this guy. And that just really lays out really a different time in wrestling. It felt like every major heel or hell minor heel, they all had heel managers in this era. And that was also something that harkened back to Vince's dad, did it not?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, in order to, give mouthpieces and to know exactly what side of the fence they stood on.
Do you prefer Johnny V, Slick, Mr. Fuji, Jimmy Hart? Who was your favorite manager from that era?
Oh, God.
Besides Bobby. Come on.
Bobby's the only one.
Yeah.
It goes Bobby to Jimmy Hart and drops off after that.
Was the inspiration for this whole manager thing, was that taken from the Randy Savage Miss Elizabeth debut? Because we saw a lot of people vying for his services in 1986, and it wound up being the debut of Miss Elizabeth. Is that sort of, hey, this is the updated version of that?
I think it was, it was definitely similar and along the same path. It was a way just to garner interest in him before he ever debuted.
So it's going to narrow down on August 29th. All the managers have been ruled out except for one, Slick. And it's announced the next week that Slick and Bam Bam are going to make their first appearance together, but it's a swerve, bro. Bammer turns down Slick, and it's Sir Oliver Humperdinck named as Bammer's manager. And now he's a babyface, and he's going to go on to defeat Nikolai Volkov. Was this always the plan? Tease that he's a heel and then stiff arm him, make him a babyface? And why was Humperdinck the right guy for that?
We were looking for, Bam Bam's promo skills were not that good. They definitely didn't match his look, and trying to find someone who could talk for him and again, add a little bit more color to Bam Bam Bigelow. And Hump had been somebody that had, inquired, wanted to come in and do some different stuff, but, it was new, and Bam Bam was new. We were looking for something fresh and new, and Hump had never been a babyface, I don't think, in his entire career either. But it was just something different, and it was giving a babyface a manager and bring Humperdinck in as a brand new face. So you got a new face and a new manager and a whole new life.
You got any good Humperdinck stories? It feels like that guy's a real character.
Oof.
I mean, he looks like a walking, talking gimmick and a half.
Well,
road trips,
I don't know if there's any I can repeat.
Come on.
No, Humperdinck, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody that had anything bad to say about Hump. I'll tell you that. He just was a really mellow guy, liked to smoke his pot and just chill out. Quite the ladies' man.
No.
Yeah. I don't, it's funny, just some of the things that, you form opinions and you form preconceived notions a lot of times before you ever meet someone. And then you get to meet them. You see the public person, then you meet and you get to know the private person. Hump was quite the ladies' man. He really enjoyed the ladies.
Did he have anything in common with
Alfred Hayes?
Yeah.
What? Maybe.
I'm just asking.
I never, did I ask him?
No.
Hey, you got a whale rope in there, pal? What you packing? No. The fuck kind of question is that?
Well, you're the one who offered that up about Lord Alfred. We didn't know that.
You were asking me. I saw you. You were looking at me and you were going, Alfred Hayes.
I did. Oh, that's a lie.
You did.
You were just thinking about Dong over there. Tell the truth.
You forget I can see you. This isn't radio.
I can see you too, kind sir.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway, give me a good Humperdinck story. You got any good ribs? Any good drinking stories? Any marijuana stories? Any? It just was always so much fun to go out with him because you could get really chill and relaxed, and you would watch him kind of work the room. You go out to a nightclub or what have you, and some people would be absolutely repulsed by his appearance. That's an actual word that was used to describe him by a young lady one night. You're repulsive. And he says, my dear, you're charming and so lovely that I could repulse you all night long. Little things like that. You couldn't insult him. You couldn't hurt his feelings. It was
there's certain guys you look at and go, man, I don't know how the hell that they would ever get laid type thing. And like the cool guys sometimes would sit back in a bar like, oh, I'm not going to go and talk to any of these girls here. I'm too cool for that. Bullshit. Hump was in the middle of it. Hump would talk to anybody and everybody and would hardly ever walked out alone.
Hump knew it was a numbers game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and he didn't give up.
A friend of ours once said 18%. And I was like, what? He's like 18%. What does that mean? 18, you ask 100 chicks, 18 are into it. So what's your plan? He's like, I'm going to go ask 100 chicks. I'm going to take my pick from 18. Like, I don't think it works that way. Let's see how that works.
Well, there's 100 chicks there to choose from. Maybe it would.
Yeah.
Have you tried this?
No. Didn't have to.
What's your percentage?
Well, my father-in-law set me up on my deal. So
yeah. So it's an arranged deal.
Yes. She didn't have a choice in the matter. If you read the internet right.
Huh. So he made her. Was there any money exchanged?
Well, that's what the internet just
is it like a couple of camels and your first, second, and third, fourth born, you can have the third one, or
it was a collateral for Rick and New Mortgage. So,
oh, okay. That makes sense because you're a mortgage guy.
He's only got 25 years left, and then she's all paying off. So Bam Bam's on TV winning squashes in pretty impressive fashion. He's got a slingshot splash, and he's on the road to winning lots of battle royals. His ring attire, though, the flames, boy, who came up with that? I mean, that presented him as a major star, did it not?
Yeah, well, that was Vince looking at his gear and just thinking it was plain and dull. And he had fire on his head. Let's put fire on his body too.
Fantastic. It's been said that Bigelow was actually brought in to be Hulk Hogan's understudy and a tag team partner, maybe to help Hulk in reducing some of the work on the road and maybe even give Bigelow the rub. Do you remember that ever being discussed?
Well, we were looking at Bam Bam as being a top babyface. So, anytime you're looking at bringing in a top babyface with Hulk, it is to complement that and or replace it at some point. I think that's what we were looking at Bam Bam for, to come in and be a star.
Well, he's going to make his pay-per-view debut on Hulk's team at the Survivor Series. Check out this team. Hulk Hogan, Don Morocco, Ken Patera, and Paul Orndorff, all teaming with Bam Bam Bigelow. Boy, where's that old Wendy's commercial? Where's the beef? It's all on that side of the ring. They're going to wind up taking on the Heenan family, which is Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy, Butch Reed, One Man Gang, and Rick Rude. Never mind, there's the other half of the beef. Lord, this really is the land of the giants. But what about that team, man? Don Morocco, Ken Patera, Paul Orndorff, Hulk Hogan, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Well, you said it right when you said the beef, and that was, of course, the famous Hogan must pose. Bam Bam got the win, but, well, this wasn't the, but you know what I mean.
Either way, though, he's the last babyface standing after Hogan is counted out. He's going to pin Bundy in One Man Gang, and then he gets pinned by Andre.
Andre didn't like Bam Bam.
Really? Tell me about that.
Oh, go back and watch some of the fucking matches. You watch Andre grab him by the top of his, his top garment, as Paul Bosch used to say when the Tarzan. Well, he's wearing the over the shoulder garment. Well, Bam Bam, Andre would just reach out because he didn't have any hair to pull. So he would grab him by his top shirt, his gear, and just yank him and throw him around. And Andre treated him like a rag doll. Not a fan of Bam Bam's at all. Brrr, firehead.
Why though?
Andre didn't like big guys. And I think that he felt Bam Bam had a bit of an attitude coming in. And that he was a young guy that hadn't really earned his stripes in Andre's eyes. Just didn't like him. Andre, you know what? When you're 7'4", 500 pounds, and they refer to you as the boss, you don't have to have a reason for pretty much anything you do.
Well, fair enough. What a vote of confidence it is when Hogan goes down. Bam Bam's the last babyface. I mean, I know Andre's going to win, but still, that's a pretty big damn deal.
Yeah, it sure is. And that was, kind of what we were trying to portray is that this guy's a player.
So he gets a big win over Hercules on Saturday night's main event, November 28th, 1987. Are you having any sort of communication with him? I mean, how's he doing? How's he holding up to the pressure? I only mention that because now he's a big TV star. He's got a little bit of notoriety. He's probably making more money than he ever has in his life. And he's a relatively young man, but a big man making towns all over the country. Is this, too much too soon? How's he handling this personally?
I think he handled it all right. I think there were times that it may have been a little overwhelming, but for the most part, I think he handled it as well as he could have at his age. He's like a year older than I am. And I could kind of relate to it on a different level of a whole lot really fast. Somebody used to say to me, it's like, drinking water out of a fire hose. It was a lot, but I think for the most part that Scott handled as well as he could at the time. There were moments, there were definitely moments where he just didn't understand. I don't think he ever understood, why Andre didn't like him.
So, I'm just wondering, from a, sex, drugs, and rock and roll standpoint, he's keeping it between the ditches.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. In your opinion, in hindsight, was it the right move to start him as a babyface and then transition to heel? Or do you think he could have maybe capitalized on some of that 1987 Hogan run, standing across the ring from him rather than shoulder to shoulder?
I think that when you're looking at that stable of heels at the time, that it was the only thing to do with him.
Yeah, it was a solid.
Because on the other side, you had a pretty stout fucking lineup.
Yes, you did. Well, in 1987, he wins a Slammy. One of the first years you guys did that. And of course, this is the first show that you produced for the WWF, I think, where you were had your reins on the thing. But you guys have an award called Best Head. And of course, Bam Bam won that.
Well, who had better head than him?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, he won, didn't he?
So you, in your opinion, he had the best head in the WWF in 1987.
At the time, yeah.
Has there been better head there since?
Luna Vachon?
Oh, okay. That was an interesting one. I could see that.
Yeah.
What about Golga? Does he have a good head?
Who?
Golga?
The fuck is Golga?
He was part of the Oddities. You used to call him John Tenta or Earthquake.
Oh, okay.
Wore a leather lumpy mask and sweatpants.
I never saw him without the mask, so that's all news to me.
Oh, okay. So to begin 1988, Bam Bam is teaming with Hulk Hogan at Madison Square Garden. Process that. He's starting 1988, headlining with Hulk Hogan at Madison Square Garden. And he's taking on Andre the Giant and Ted DiBiase. It looks like he's going to be substituted on a lot of the arena shows in this time. Was he having physical problems or homesick, or is the grind just getting to him, do you think?
I think that it was a combination of everything. I think it was a combination of the road and being a big guy, man. The road will wear on you a little bit more. Just, getting up, going through airports. I think his body was taking its toll, the kind of schedule that he was working. So it was a combination of everything. And I don't know that he was necessarily, after a while, it just takes its toll.
So he blows his knee out in Hartford, March of 88 against Dino Bravo. He's taken off the road.
Wouldn't you?
Everybody got hurt against Dino, even Bret Hart. And he's replaced by Jim Duggan. I guess it's his injury that caused One Man Gang to beat him in under 3 minutes at WrestleMania 4. I mean, it seems like he's an odd guy to go down that quickly in that form and fashion on such a big card. But if he's hurt, right? You got to put some star power on there and put some lipstick on that pig.
Well, and again, at the time, different time, different place, and guys kind of played through the pain and didn't always want to go, hey, my knee's bothering, maybe I can't do a whole lot tonight. That was the nature of the beast at the time.
According to the rumor and innuendo, quote, Bigelow had gotten the superstar attitude from Japan and rubbed some people the wrong way who resented his being used on top immediately. He was roughed up on a couple of occasions, once by Andre the Giant and another time by Sika of the Wild Samoans, who busted his nose. He grew up with nothing and fell in a bad crowd. He got rich and famous very quickly, but he made a lot of bad choices. He really didn't handle the fame, the money, or the women very well and went into a downward spiral. Do you remember the whole Sika thing where maybe he was rubbing him the wrong way too? You explained the Andre thing. He just didn't like big guys. But Sika, how would we have gotten sideways there if you had to guess?
I don't really remember, but I do remember, the time frame after kind of the first year of being pushed to the moon and being the guy and being talked about. Oh my God, this is the guy that, was going to replace Hulk. This is the guy. It's an awful lot to absorb. In the beginning, Scott came in as a very humble guy, and he really, again, he did well. He did well handling it when you look at his age and you look at what he hadn't been through. Okay. A lot kind of got dumped. It kind of goes back to Larry Sharp and people saying, oh, well, Larry's pissing in his ear, and just kind of, they made excuses for him.
I see.
But I think that it was just age and lack of maturity and too much too soon. Again, I've seen guys handle it worse. So, and maybe it's just because I always liked Scott. I always thought he was a really, really nice guy and a pretty humble guy. So I probably, would make excuses as well for him. But I think, when you step back and you look at it, yeah, maybe he could have handled some things better.
What leads to his eventual exit in 1988? Is it these personnel issues with Andre and Sika and those types where he's just rubbing people the wrong way? Or is it the way it was recapped? He didn't really handle the fame, the money, or the women very well. Do you think it was just became too much of the rock star lifestyle? We're not focused on our work as much as we are having a good time?
I think it was more than anything the reality of the situation, in that maybe he needs a little more time away from here to mature and to hone his craft a little more.
So it happens. He makes his last at Madison Square Garden appearance on June 25th. It's in a loss to Andre the Giant. It's going to be his last appearance here for like nearly 5 years. And Bret Hart has said of this match, Andre, quote, practically killed him, end quote, and that Bam Bam just grabbed his bag and left. Did you hear about this, for lack of a better word, mauling in Bigelow's last MSG appearance against Andre?
God, I was there.
What do you remember about that night?
Just brutality. Bobby Heenan would tell the story that you could almost, well, maybe not almost, that you could hear Scott like just trying to get the hell out of there. And Andre, again, you go back and watch it. It's got to be on tape somewhere. Andre just pretty much manhandling him. And I think in some ways, I don't know if it was Andre trying to get Bam Bam to either fight back or, to see, okay, what are you made of, kid? And maybe if he had actually fought back with Andre, it might have been a different scenario. But the fact that he didn't, whether it was out of respect or out of he just couldn't, I don't have that answer. But Andre pretty much beat the shit out of him. And just brutalized him.
Isn't that like a catch-22 if you're one of the guys? Like on the one hand, because I feel like you nailed it, you want to be respectful. I mean, everything in wrestling is about respect, and you shake everybody's hand and you take care of the guys, and you never take liberties with guys, and you respect your veterans, and the veteran calls the match, blah, blah, blah. And now here you have a veteran beating the shit out of you, doing exactly what you're not supposed to do. And on the one hand, it feels like, well, this is a hazing thing and I'm supposed to just grin and bear it. But on the other hand,
I think most guys would look at it and say that if somebody's being really rough with you in the ring, and if you don't fight back, then you deserve what you get.
okay.
So sometimes it can be as trivial as a test to say, all right, man, are you going to fight back? Are you going to do something? Or are you just going to be abused?
You know, our old pal JR always says it comes down to the two C's in wrestling, cash and creative. And unfortunately, try as I might for the last 5 years, Bruce won't talk about money. But we're going to talk about money right now. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency. Boy, it's everywhere right now, is it not? It feels like everybody's been talking about it. But if you're like me, I used to think cryptocurrency was like a secret club or maybe an exclusive club. You had to know somebody. But Coinbase believes that everyone, everywhere should be able to get in the door. Whether you've been trading for years or maybe you're just getting started, Coinbase can help. Coinbase offers a trusted and easy to use platform to buy, sell, and spend cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone. They offer portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app, so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto all in one place. Millions of people in over 100 countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. So whether you're looking to diversify, just getting started, or searching for a better way to access the crypto markets, start today with Coinbase. For a limited time, new users can get $5 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/wrestle. Sign up at coinbase.com/wrestle for $5 in free Bitcoin. This offer is for a limited time only, and be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/wrestle. Seriously, sign up at coinbase.com/wrestle for $5 in free Bitcoin. It's free Bitcoin. What are you waiting for? Sign up right now. Coinbase.com/wrestle. Let me ask you this though, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm just saying hypothetical, because I realize this is going to be a stretch the way I position it, but it's what we're talking about. If he would have fired off on Andre, and before you laugh, hurt Andre, when he comes back to the back after he's, sort of hurt the quote unquote golden goose, is there not going to be significant heat on him there? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, to me, it's like practice in the NFL, right? You don't hit the quarterback. You don't hit the red jersey. So you're not going to mess with the golden goose. And I'm not saying that he was at that point. It's clearly it was Hulk Hogan, but Andre's up there. And I just think about, man, if somebody would have did that maybe years later to a Shawn Michaels, if Shawn took a liberty, for instance, and they could hurt him, it feels like, boy, you'd have got your ass chewed when you went through the curtain. Sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Am I right?
I think there's a difference in fighting back and giving a receipt and letting somebody know, all right, you're going to hit me that hard. I'm going to hit you this hard, and let them know. And then, you figure it out from there to go out and hurt somebody. I don't think Andre was out to hurt him.
Yeah, there's a difference.
If Andre wanted to hurt him and take him out, Andre would have hurt him and taken him out.
Right.
So it wasn't that. And, who knows what Andre's motives were in that. It may have just been, I don't like you and I'm going to beat the shit out of you tonight, and you can fight me back, and we can fight and we can go. But who knows, at that point. And I think that if, Bam Bam had at least fired up some, been able to fire up, then don't know if it would have been a different outcome.
Was Andre untouchable in that era from Vince McMahon? I mean, when you said, oh, I remember this, I was there. So clearly Vince would have heard about it. Does Vince go to Andre and say, God damn, pal, trying to make some guys quit beating them up or whatever the fuck?
I think if it was excessive, yeah, definitely would. But, you go back, it's like Warrior. One of the things that got Warrior over with Andre is through all that shit and Andre beating the living shit out of him. Warrior fought back.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. Shitty as Warrior was. He stood there, he took it, and he came back. So that was Andre like, okay, this is what you're going to get when you fuck up. But you know what? I'm going to work with you because you're in here fighting for it.
What an interesting subculture this is. Do you know if Andre and Bam Bam ever mended fences before Andre passed?
I have no idea. I don't really know.
Do you know if Andre went through sort of, every now and again when guys have shall we say a moment of clarity, they're going to go around and try to make amends. And you often hear that people do that when they're fresh out of recovery or when they feel like, man, I'm not in good health. This might be winded down for me.
Not that I've ever really heard of. And I don't know that, for the most part, I don't know of anybody that Andre would have done that with.
All right. So we know what's happening next. Bam Bam's going to head over to Jim Crockett Promotions. He won't sign an exclusive contract because he's still doing these New Japan tours. Did you lose touch with him? Did you keep up with Bam Bam at all through his Jim Crockett or New Japan or UWF experiments?
No, I lost touch with Bam Bam after he left.
So he comes back to the WWF. At the time, he's being pushed very heavily in New Japan as a tag team partner of who we know as the Great Muta. Were you a part of the negotiation to bring him back? Does he come to you? Do you come to him? How do you remember him coming back to the company?
No, I think he just called Vince and asked, to come back. And that was during a time that for whatever reason, they mended fences and moved on. Said, absolutely, come on back.
Halloween 1992, Bigelow's promoted as returning on Superstars. And then in late November, he does return and defeats Jerry Fox in 1 minute and 59 seconds. Of course, you're back that November as well. Or I guess actually before that. Chat me up though. What was different about Bam Bam here in 92 compared to 1988? Is it just the maturity and that made all the difference, or was his work different as well?
No, to me, I think it was just the maturity. And you had somebody who had kind of been through the wars and hopefully grown up a little bit.
So it's announced that Bam Bam is going to take on Big Boss Man at Rumble 93. Of course, he's going to get a big return win on pay-per-view. Meltzer gave it 1 star. They go 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Bam Bam picks up the win with a headbutt off the top. Meltzer would write, Boss Man has gained a lot of his previous lost poundage back. Lots of people went to the popcorn stand during this match. Crowd was way down because they were following such a hot match. But still, it's interesting to think, and again, the wrestling business is a changing. This is Bam Bam's first singles pay-per-view win in the WWF. When he was there the first time, pay-per-view was really in its infancy. Now it's a regular part of what we're doing, but this win over Boss Man here in 93 is his first pay-per-view win. How about that?
Kind of crazy. A little cray-cray. I'm a B.
No. He's scheduled for WrestleMania 9 against Kamala, but the match winds up being cut due to time. So Bigelow's been around for a while at this point. Obviously, he had a run here before, and he gets his match with Kamala cut. I know we've talked about these type situations before, but I'll ask again. Do Kamala and Bigelow still get paid here?
I'm sure they did.
How disappointed are they when, hey, everybody in this era would say, man, we had to wait till we got our WrestleMania pay-per-view to know, or payday, before we knew if it was a good pay or a good year or not. Like, so much of your entire year hinged on WrestleMania. And again, they may be cut. And as you said, they're still getting paid, but it's got to be a little bit of a letdown. I mean, WrestleMania is still obviously the Mac Daddy now, but back then, there weren't super shows every month or twice a month. This was next level special. And now you've trained and gotten ready and keyed up and you're excited and you got your shit together, and sorry, pal, your match is cut.
It happens. I mean, that's